Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We're delighted that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcast. Our guests today are Kathy MacMillan and Julia Castaño. They are here to celebrate the Runaway Shirt. Before we begin, I want to give a big shout out to all of my new friends down in Puerto Rico at Colegio Puertorriqueño de Niñas. What a great group of kids I had the pleasure of performing for today. They were absolutely wonderful. The magic of technology enabled me to present a totally interactive magic show with me being here in Boston and my audience being in their home, safely learning virtually down in beautiful Puerto Rico. I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I want to thank their teacher for inviting me. I want to thank the kids for being such great kids. I want to thank their parents for raising such great kids. And I want to let you know that I would love to come into your communities, wherever your kids are learning this year. If they are learning virtually at home, if they are in their classes but being socially distant and safe, I would love to present my brand new show. The magic between us is respect and kindness to your kids, and we're offering a free performance of the show to a limited number of schools. Please go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the Parents Click Here button, and then scroll down to where it says Live Events. I would love, love, love to Zoom and see all of your beautiful kids and entertain them and inspire them with a little bit of magic. We are so excited. We have two amazing guests on today. Joining us from Baltimore in Maryland, the author Kathy MacMillan, and the illustrator of her book joining us from Spain, Julia Castaño. They are here to talk about the Runaway Shirt. Kathy, Julia, welcome. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Good. Really happy to be here.
That first voice you heard was the author, Kathy MacMillan. Kathy's been on the show a number of times, and we're really excited to welcome her back. Kathy, can you tell us, give us a little description of the Runaway Shirt?
Sure thing. The Runaway Shirt is a picture book, and it is, I would say the audience for it is toddlers and preschoolers, very young children, and it is the story of a mother who is trying to fold the laundry and a young child who has other ideas about how to make folding the laundry more fun. And it is actually based on a game that my own kiddo and I used to play many years ago, because my kiddo is a teenager now, but I love the way that Julia's illustrations have brought this story to life.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah. This is really neat. I don't remember playing that game with either one of my kids, but I did and still play that game with my dog sometimes. He's, he comes up and I'm folding the clothes and he decides, no, you have to give me some attention, so let me take this and that. And that's a lot of fun. Julia, am I right in thinking that this is your first picture book?
Yes, that is correct. It's my first picture book.
How did you?
Really excited about it.
Yeah. How was that experience for you, taking Kathy's words and creating images to help tell the story?
Well, I was approached by my agent, one of my many agents, and he gave me Kathy's manuscript. And he told me, would you like to illustrate this book? And I read it and I thought, this is super cute. Of course I want to illustrate this. And yeah, it was immediately, I had visuals already of the book. It's so playful. And I remember at the time I was also, working on another project. It's a non-fiction novel for middle grade children, like really hardcore, about an Irish woman that moved to Spain during the Civil War and rescued children, and then she rescued some Jewish children too from going to camps. So it was so nice having this project going alongside this really dark book to bring the happiness and the cheer back.
I was going to say, talk about contrasting subjects and styles.
Indeed.
I'm wondering, did you ever get confused and kind of create a dark image of Kathy's kid running away with the shirt?
No, I can't say that I did. No, they are so polar opposites. It's impossible. It was like a holiday from work going to Kathy's book.
That's wonderful, Kathy. It's. I was mentioning this before the interview starts. It's wonderful. You, when you've been on the show before, you always seem to invite your illustrator to join you. And that's really unique, at least with the podcast. And I know scheduling is hard and it's a challenge. But you really have a great admiration for your illustrators. And where does that come from? Because I don't get the sense that every author feels the same way.
Oh, that's a great question. Well, first of all, I am not artistic in that way. Illustrations and, creating visual art is not my thing, so it feels like magic to me, and I imagine to those who are not writers, what a writer does probably feels like magic to them. What you don't understand is magic. So to me, it's always very magical to see what the illustrator brings to a project, and one of the things that I love about working with picture books and board books as opposed to novels is that I can fangirl my own books because half of the product is not mine. With my young adult novels, it's basically all me all the time. But with the picture books, I bring the idea, the initial conception to it, and with the nonfiction books I've done too, they've been illustrated nonfiction books. So in that case, I'm bringing the content, but where the illustrator takes it, it just brings it to a whole nother level. So I really love that collaboration. And it is true that in most traditional publishing, the author and the illustrator don't have a lot of contact. And sometimes you might not have any contact with your illustrator. I'm fortunate in that all of my illustrated books have been with Familius Press, which does not really believe in that sort of separation of author and illustrator. So I've had the ability to have feedback, and in some of my earlier picture books, they've been American Sign Language books, and given that I'm the American Sign Language expert who's working on them, I have to be involved in the illustrations from the very beginning. So that process has always been more collaborative to me. So I guess having had that expectation with those books, as I've moved into other books and in working with this press, I've sort of asked for that. But I can kind of understand why a lot of publishers, what do I want to say? They don't forbid it, but they might downplay that communication because I think a lot of authors, especially if they haven't been published before, might come into the process not understanding what the illustrator's role is. They might think, okay, well, this is my story and I want her to have a pink dress on page 32, and that's not how it works. The illustrator has to bring their own vision to it. So I think sometimes there is a sort of protection of the illustrator in that, where they're trying to, lay off author, let the illustrator do their thing. But in my mind, everything in the publishing process is pick your battles, in the traditional publishing process anyway. As an author, I have a say in everything if I'm willing to stand up for it. So with, a YA novel, for example, I can fight for a certain scene, or if I hate the cover that they've given me, I can fight against that cover. But how much do I want to fight? How much of my authorly energy do I want to give to that? And so with illustrations, I look at it the same way. If there's something that I really have a problem with, I'm going to speak up about it. But by and large, I'm not going to nitpick. I'm not going to micromanage the illustrator's process because they know what they're doing and I don't. So
I suppose, Julia, you must appreciate that attitude that Kathy has.
Very much. Very much. Yeah, sometimes, normally you do get free rein most of the time. You get a few notes here and there, but nothing major. But some editors are more hands-on than others, and sometimes they do cripple a bit, your ability to create your own world in a sense. Kathy was great.
Now, I'm looking at the cover art, and it's a really distinctive style that you have, Julia. Is there a name for the style that you create with?
No, I wouldn't say there is a name for it. It's Julia's style.
Julia's style.
I would say that is a particular color palette that I use on my pieces a lot, because I do love those colors. But as for the rest, I don't know. I have this thing. I think many illustrators have this thing where we are always questioning our style and changing things and saying, am I comfortable, or am I getting too comfortable now? And so, yeah.
You were sharing that you had these two different projects while you were working on the Runaway Shirt. You were also working on this very dark middle grade novel. Is there a particular type of illustrations that you enjoy working with? I know illustrators enjoy working so they can earn a living, but is there particular themes that you like to work with?
I like cheeky characters.
Ah.
I am a character person. And I like that, I like my main characters to be a bit cheeky and have, character. And if they are females, even better. Ah. That's a thing. That's definitely a thing. And what I loved about this book is I think one of the notes that they gave me was, to not make the kid distinctively a girl or a boy. You might look at it and think it's a boy, perhaps because of the short hair, but my idea for it is not a boy or a girl. It's just a child, and it's very cheeky, and I loved it. As soon as I read it, I loved it.
That was actually my request, and the publisher agreed with that too, because I thought there's nothing in the text that indicates the gender of the child.
Yeah.
And so why put that in there? I mean, this could be any parent and any child, because the text is written from the point of view of the mother who is playing this game and pretending that the child is a shirt. So she never refers to the child as he or she. She says, I'm going to fold this shirt. So there was no need to put that in there. And if any child can look at this and see themselves in it, let's do that.
Yeah.
So I love the way you did that, Julia.
Thank you so much.
Now, was that something that you had intended to do when you set about writing The Runaway Shirt, Kathy?
No, I hadn't thought that far ahead. The initial inspiration for the book, like I said, came from this game that my own kiddo would play. We'd climb into the basket, and then I would say, look, I'm going to fold the shirt. And so it built on that. It was also inspired by one of my favorite picture books by William Steig, Pete's a Pizza, where the parents, it's a rainy day and Pete's really sad and grumpy, so the parents turn him into a pizza. So they lay him out and they say, okay, now we gotta knead the dough, and they tickle him, and then they get little pieces of paper to be the cheese, and basically they're playing this imaginative game and making him laugh, and it's written in that same sort of style. So that was the kind of stylistic inspiration behind the book. And then it was just building on that and thinking, if you're playing this game with the shirt, what are the different things you can do with the shirt? You can try to hang it up. You can try to put it in the drawer, but the shirt doesn't want to go in the drawer. And it's really just a way to encourage parents to sort of enter into their child's imaginative play. So often we want to, I'm just trying to fold the laundry, but if you take that moment and get into that play, and one of the things that I love that Julia did with the illustrations is at the end of the book, after they've gone through this play, the child then is helping the mother fold the laundry. So the child is actually doing the chore with the mother and is willing to do it because now they have used this moment to build that relationship. And I think that really shows the importance of play with young children and how they learn and how they develop relationships.
Talk about a stroke of genius, Julia. Where did that idea come from?
the helping.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it was in the text, or maybe there was a note at the
Maybe
end.
it might have been an illustration note. I did use a lot more illustration notes in this manuscript than I typically do, because that's one of the things as an author when you're writing picture books, they say, don't use illustration notes, because too often authors misuse them to say things like her shirt should be pink, or to micromanage. But in this case, because there was so much of the action that needed to be explained, because when the mother's saying, I will fold this shirt, you need to have the explanation of the shirt is actually a child, or otherwise you can't follow what's going on. So there may have been an illustration note to that effect. It's hard to know, isn't it? Like, I feel like there was so much like back and forth inspiration with this. It's hard to remember what originated where, which the best projects always do. So.
It's the best way to end it, really. That lovely, I'm tired of the game, and I just now want to help, and then hug and snuggle.
Yeah. You know, that's, Kathy, you make a great point that sometimes, we're so busy, and when our kids want our attention, then they're stealing the shirt, we can get so annoyed, but we forget that if we just take a minute to engage with the kid and get in, and typically the kids just want to play for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you can get back to doing your chore and to have the kid help you. I think if folks, our lives as parents would be so much better if we remember to put aside the work and be with our kids and be present with our kids when they want us to be.
Yeah, and in these times when so many parents are at home with their kids and trying to get work done, I think that's a message that resonates a lot, because we just take those few minutes to connect, then we can involve our kids in what we're doing too.
Yeah. Julia, I'm wondering, have you, this is your first picture book, and there may be some kids who pick up the Runaway Shirt and read it on their own, but I'm imagining that the vast majority of kids are going to be sitting on their parent's lap or snuggled up next to their parent as the parent is reading this book, and the kid's going to be pointing to your pictures and talking about your pictures. And has that thought sunk into you? Are you realizing that there are going to be families all over the world snuggling up together, looking at your pictures together?
What a lovely thought. Yes and no. It's strange because obviously when you're creating images, you're thinking about your audience to an extent. But yeah, it's quite hard to imagine, that there might be a child across the pond reading that particular book right now and pointing at that cat. that was one of the things that when I started storyboarding the book, I thought maybe it would be nice adding something, that might be not as obvious in the first reading, but then it can become like a game when you go back to the book and, searching for, where's the cat in this image? That, and because my experience with laundry is not with children, is with cats, basically.
And that was another magical connection, because Julia and I are both definitely cat people. So when I got the illustrations and saw that there was a cat hiding in every page, I'm like, how perfect is this? So.
Well, that is something I think that parents should keep in mind when you're reading books with your kids, because so many kids do. They want to read the book over and over and over again. And if you're just reading the book over and over and over again, it does get annoying for parents. But you can, every time you pick up the book, you can read it differently and create different character voices and tones, and also just do something different. In one reading of the book, you're just looking for the cat, or you're looking for this, or you're looking for that. And in that way, the kid is experiencing something that they love a whole lot, their favorite book, but you're also doing it in a way that's not making you crazy. And it's also making it different for the kids and igniting their imagination.
Yes, there's definitely lots of socks too.
So I'm curious, Julia, now that you've written your first picture book, is this something that you're going to want to do a lot of?
I just want to keep drawing. This is what I like. I like to get some middle grade, fiction middle grade. Get my hands into one of those cheeky, bit older characters. But literally, I'm just happy doing this.
Well, this is really exciting. Now, Kathy, do you have any other projects that are going to be debuting in the near future?
I don't have anything that I have a publication date for yet. The next book in the Little Hand Signing series with Nita's First Signs and Nita's Day should be coming soon, but I don't know exactly when yet. And I'm currently working on a young adult novel because I do a little bit of everything. But those are the main things that I'm focusing on at the moment.
Awesome. Well, I know, Kathy, you have a great website. Before I ask you to tell us about it, I just want to ask Julia. Julia, do you have a website or places online where folks can connect with you and see some of your other work?
I do. My website is mrrabbitillustration.com. And my Instagram, I think, is Mr. Rabbit Illustration too. I am one of the few illustrators that is at odds with social media, which is really bad because I should be using it for work, really. But yeah, I get overwhelmed. There's a bit too much.
It's very overwhelming sometimes, and it can be very disheartening too with all the negativity that happens out there. But it's great. Yeah. It's great when we see artists like yourself going out there and sharing beautiful images and really positive work. Kathy, remind everybody, please, where they can connect with you online.
Sure. I am at kathymacmillan.com. You can find information about all my books there. And I want to let you know that we actually have a dedicated site on there for the Runaway Shirt. You can find it at tinyurl.com/Runaway Shirt. And at that site, you can find all the information about the book, all the different purchase links. And I just want to give a little shout out to one particular purchase link on there goes to the Deaf Camps Inc. online bookstore. Deaf Camps Inc. is a nonprofit volunteer-run organization that I have been involved with for the past 20 years, and you can purchase signed copies of all my books through their online bookstore, and which make great gifts, of course. Signed books are always a great gift, but all the proceeds purchased through there go towards scholarships for children to deaf camp, so it's a great cause, too.
Awesome. This has been we've had a wonderful time talking about The Runaway Shirt, a great new book from our friends at Familias. And we've been speaking to the team that created it, the author and illustrator, author Kathy MacMillan and illustrator Julia Castaño. Julia, Kathy, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Matt Ralph. He will be here to celebrate Sam the Speedy Sloth. That is the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, if you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to have you as a guest on the show. Being a guest, it's fun, it's easy, it gives you the chance to tell thousands of people about your great book, and best of all, it doesn't cost a thing. That's right. It is totally free. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page. Scroll down to where it says Be a Guest. We would love to have you on the show. We would love to thank right now the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guests, Kathy MacMillan and Julia Castaño. Also want to thank my team, starting with my amazing daughter, Alejandra Doherty. Be sure to go to readingwithyourkids.com and look at all the wonderful changes that she has made to the website. It looks fantastic. Also want to thank my producer, Fatima Khan, my awesome author ambassador, Peggy Cotto. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me, but most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.